here's Barker Street. Here it is, right? Here's the wetlands.
They made these longer and you're gonna whisper to each other.
So, literally, people have used to new parcel, put up, and this is it. So here's the existing house, and here, where it says 68, supposedly, is where they have subdivided for another house. So, would I expect to see a driveway somewhere in here? The wetland is back here, and it crosses.
Sabrina,
over
7.
what's called
7 o'clock.
We're coming up
Deep
on
marsh.
time, guys.
deep marsh in the back. So I can use it.
I'm gonna do it.
Get started. Here you go. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Pembroke Conservation Commission meeting of February 6th, 2025. It is now 7 p.m. and we will immediately move into, or actually, you know what? We're not moving into anything immediately. I need to give you a disclosure. So,
You gotta
so
read,
please, yep,
you gotta read the
correct.
disclaimer.
Please note that this meeting is being made available to the public through a video and audio broadcast on Comcast Government Access Channel for broadcast at future dates. Comments made in open session will be recorded, and so it goes. All right, so let's move into opening up our hearing for an ANRAD at 145 Washington Street and 0 Misty Meadow Road, DEP number SE 56-1117. If you wouldn't mind giving us your name and your title. Yeah,
And company,
name and company.
I guess.
Good evening. My name is Eric Shoemaker. I'm a civil engineer with McKenzie Engineering Group. I'm here with Brad Holmes from Environmental Consulting and Restoration. He helped us out on the delineation for this site. So we're located here at 145 Washington Street. It's currently the St. Thecla's Church. It's comprised of about 12 acres, about 11 acres. The parcel currently consists of an existing church with associated parking area, closed drainage system to the rear. There's a rectory on site with a garage and some utilities to support the use coming off of Washington Street. Also included in this ANRAD, there's a parcel here on Misty Meadow Road, so the delineation kind of continues down here a little bit to the southeast. So the southern part of the site is currently undeveloped, and that's where we found this wetland. It wasn't shown in any sort of Mass GIS or any sort of mapping, so it was kind of just found by walking the site. There is a mapped wetland across the street here. So we're located in the town of Pembroke's Residence A zoning district, the North Pembroke Historic Overlay District. The site is not located in a DEP Zone 2 or Pembroke Water Resource Protection Zone. We're bordered by some residential properties directly to the north and across the street on Misty Meadow Road to the south. In general, the topography slopes towards that wetland. You can kind of follow the topo on there. The low point is about 43 here at the corner of the wetland. And that closed drainage system does actually have an outlet that is pointed at that bordering vegetated wetland. So we can answer any questions related to the delineation. I know we're in receipt of a peer review letter from John Zimmer, I believe his name was, and him and Brad Holmes walked the site, and they discussed the wetland line. So we came back with a revised ANRAD plan. It kind of bumped out a few of the flags. You should have that in your set. But you can see in red here is, a few of the wetland flags were bumped out. So that's pretty much it. We can answer any questions the commission may have.
Okay.
I personally don't have any questions.
I just had some for Brad.
Sure.
You made all the corrections that were recommended in the peer review.
Correct. Met with John
Yeah.
and we walked the wetland line. John and I observed some areas here, took another look and adjusted flags in this location to account for some wetland soils. And again, in this location, just bumped the line up a little bit.
When you say bumped it out, you mean
Landward.
landlords?
We never move them down. But, yeah, bumped them landward. John also asked for me to take another look at the drainage outfall, which I did, and documented that there's not a wetland connection there. So overall, we had a good meeting with John.
So since we have the peer review and everything's already been done, we can close unless anybody has another question, I would think.
I suppose we can open it up for public comment just to make sure. Do we have anybody who would like to make a comment from the audience? Doesn't appear as such. All right. Here we go.
Motion to close?
All in favor?
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
well, we have to make another motion.
Yeah, we have to do that.
Motion to issue an ORAD. And you already fulfilled the conditions, which were the peer review, and everything's been identified.
It's an ANRAD, right?
What?
We have numbers from the ORAD?
No, an ANRAD is what they did. The ORAD is what's issued.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
so the ANRAD is what was done. The ORAD is we issue an ORAD, right?
Yep.
At the order of resource area delineation. So this is, we're closing and issuing an order, which is an ORAD.
All right, so I have a
Second.
motion. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for your time.
Let me bring this up a little bit information right now. It's not new for me. Okay.
Disclosure.
Yep, exactly. So please note that any person aggrieved by this decision has the right of appeal within 10 business days. Please contact our office or DEP if you need assistance.
I just have a question, Chair, if I could.
Of course.
I didn't hear mention the SE number anywhere in anything we just said, and I think it should be in the correspondence somewhere.
Oh, I did
Yeah, she-
mention it in the
she
beginning when
mentioned
we
it.
opened the hearing.
And I
But
think
do you want it at the
in
end as
accepting it,
well?
I think we should have it at the acceptance spot, too.
Okay. All right, absolutely. All right, so.
I'm the one that probably should have done that when I closed.
No, it's okay, don't worry. All right, so we have a little bit of time here. So our next hearing isn't until 7:15. Do we want to move on to the minutes?
Sure.
Okay. Does anybody have any corrections or considerations for the minutes of January 2nd, 2024?
Not I.
No, I haven't done anything that I feel needs change or anything like that.
Nobody.
I'll motion to accept the minutes, January 2nd.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
We have Gino Fellini, second, and then all in favor.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, that was quick. Let's see. All right, maybe we can move on to a little bit of our, we don't want to do new business yet because there's a lot going on. Okay.
Hoping to get out of here unscathed tonight.
Okay, don't worry, it'll be fine.
Sunday.
Do you want to discuss letting the DPW director director and setting a date for that, that could go.
Yeah, I think that that would be good, thank you. So we've discussed our trees in memory registry, and then we also discussed the DPW director coming to discuss the tree department, just operations, roles, responsibilities, and just to entertain the possibilities of the trees in memory registry, but then also potentially cataloging of our town trees as well. So do we want to have the DPW director attend our meeting in March for
Yeah.
that discussion? Is that okay?
And what are we gonna discuss?
So we're going to discuss a couple of different things, just in relation to our trees and memory registry, but then also discussing what that would mean for the town in terms of kind of keeping track of what trees, and then also maintenance, and just all the underlying details of fostering tree plantings in town.
Is there currently a tree warden?
No,
DPW director acting as tree warden.
Yeah.
But not a formal tree warden.
Is that Chris Devine?
It is not, it is Joseph Diuti. And he'd be happy to join you in March if you so decide.
awesome, thank you.
Of course.
Do we want to do that? Want to talk to him about that possibility? Okay, great. Do
Invite
we?
to March? Is that right?
Yeah, that would be great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay, so in terms of liaison roles, has anybody had the opportunity to consider what they may want to be for a liaison? I've noticed we don't really have a lot of openings on any of our boards and commissions in terms of like planning board or zoning. I know we do have a spot on the open space committee, so there's a vacancy there if anybody wanted to pursue that role. Or we could do scouting liaison, or we can even just table it for next time if we don't.
Yeah, wait
wanna
till
talk
next time,
about it.
because I'll think about it.
Yeah, because I mean, we're volunteers, and we want to, we want to make sure we all have enough time to have all these hats on, basically. Okay, so we'll just continue that discussion to the next meeting then too. And then Jim Campbell will be in attendance, I'm sure, as well. Okay. Okay,
Laggy property goals.
yeah. Do we want to talk about the Laggy property goals?
I do.
Okay, let's talk about it. Oh, wait, you want to wait until open
Can
space?
you-
Yes,
I was
of
gonna say,
course.
if you move through 7:15, you might have time then to start that before, thank you.
Oh, yeah, we have
Sorry about
exactly
that.
2 minutes. That's
Yep.
not, sorry, all right, that's not
No
enough
worries.
time.
No. Need at least 4 minutes.
Yeah, I should have given you guys time to read through the minutes a little bit more if you hadn't, if you wanted time. Let's see. So, just a little bit of uncomfortable silence.
I feel very comfortable.
Good. Had cold coffee, working on that. Anxiety.
I don't have yours, mine's different.
It's the same. It's just branded. We're almost there. That's still ongoing. Write this down. Ensure that- Oh, okay. It is now 7:15. We are going to open the notice of intent for 35 Stetson Avenue, DEP number SC 56-1118. If you wouldn't mind,
117.
did I say that? What?
Oh, mine says,
Wait a second. It says, oh, and it says it on both
that's
documents.
7:15.
Wait a second.
Yep, you have the notice of intent for 35 Stetson.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi.
Sorry.
So, what, is it? You got 1-8, I got
How are you?
1-7 on
Oh,
this.
so Meadow, so that was our first one. Okay. So hi, if you wouldn't mind stating your name and your role as a representative for this project.
Sure. So for the record, James Garfield with Morse Engineering, here tonight representing the applicant for a notice of intent associated with a raise and rebuild at 35 Stetson Avenue. This is approximately a 7,775 square foot lot. We've got our property lines shown here in bold. Stetson Avenue, left-hand side of the page, Lake Avenue, bottom of the page, and Stetson Pond to the right side of the page. This lot's currently developed with a single-family dwelling constructed in 1940 per the assessor's records. The subject resource area at this site, shown here in magenta, is the inland bank associated with Stetson Pond. We're proposing, again, a raise and rebuild. The existing single-family home is shown here. We're going to reuse that foundation and reconstruct the dwelling above it. We're also going to add a 24 by 23.5 foot addition off to its side, and additionally replace the on-site septic system. The current system is failing and consists of 2 cesspools. We're proposing to replace that with a microfast treatment tank, pump chamber, and crushed stone leaching field. Not only will this system be pulled further away from the wetlands, but it'll provide further nitrogen removal than a conventional septic system would. We believe the commission can issue us an order of conditions for this project because we're not directly altering the inland bank. All of our proposed work is within previously disturbed lawn area. And we've also got a 12-inch mulch sock proposed down gradient of our proposed work to act as an erosion control barrier. One last thing of note, the Board of Health has approved this project. So with that, I'll pass it to the commission for any questions.
You show me where the silt socks will be laid out.
Sure, so it's essentially the perimeter of this whole site, going just like that. You may have noticed, just to point it out, not uncommon down by the ponds, but the house is slightly over the property line. Our applicant here actually owns both properties and is actively looking into relocating said property line to bring this building entirely onto the lot. Not a conservation thing, but just a key point of note.
Where's the property line?
This bold line right here.
Oh,
What size silt socks did you plan on using?
12-inch diameter.
12-inch? Bobby,
Well,
think 10 is fine.
Around the pond, I'd prefer 12, but
12
10
around
is
the
all
pond.
we have been requiring, but it'll always take a little more protection.
Especially on that's a good pond.
You personally know James Hassan?
Not personally, no.
Chance I may have to recluse myself.
Okay,
I don't know if it's the same James Hassan I know, but there is a James Hassan I know that's a Boston police captain that I worked with in the past. And his brother was my partner.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's the same Jim Hassan.
I believe this Jim Hassan's a biologist, if I'm not mistaken, so it might be somebody different.
It's not that uncommon a name, but if he's a biologist, we're all set.
Yeah.
If you choose to err on the side of caution and recuse yourself from this vote just to cover your bases, that would be prudent.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna recluse myself then.
Okay, sorry.
So noted.
Okay, maybe I do have a question. So I see the indication of where the silt sock is going to be applied. Is all of the work going to take place within the silt sock? Like, is it going to go along the limit of work?
Yeah, so the silt sock is down gradient of all proposed work, so all proposed
Okay,
work is
okay.
landward.
Yeah, all right, perfect.
and what about storage of materials?
So material storage will be the front yard area here. That's going to be our equipment staging and storage area.
Okay.
And they are within the silt sock area.
Correct.
Yeah.
So protect.
Those were the only questions that I had. Does anybody have any further questions? Do we want to open this up for public comment? Does anybody have a public comment out there in the audience of 3 people? Okay, Then, do we have a motion?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Well, actually, no,
Okay.
not all in favor.
And,
I move
what
that
is
we,
this?
we got an RDA or whatever.
It's a notice of
That's a
intent,
notice
so
of
we need to
intent.
issue an order of conditions.
A motion to issue an order of conditions according to the plans. And what we discussed is on the plans. So I guess that's it. Job number, DEP. I have
It's 118.
mixed, this is DEP 05611117 or 8. Which one?
I believe it's 8.
You
This
have
one's
8.
7.
Okay, because mine's,
I opened it up as 7, or I mean, as 8, excuse me. Now I'm getting mixed up.
all right, well,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
that's,
8 is Washington Street, 7 is this one.
No, that's not what this says. The other one.
okay. So, 561118.
You're right, and the agenda specifies that this one is 1118. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, just make a note of it and check.
Oh,
'cause
I did.
Yeah, well, okay. All right, need a second.
Okay. Do a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so
gotta read.
please note that any person aggrieved by this decision has the right of appeal within 10 business days. Please contact our office or DEP if you need assistance. Thank you very much.
Have a good night, everyone.
You too. Drive safe, okay? I can't believe I didn't catch that.
okay, that's done.
Okay, so we are moving on. We have a little bit of time. Okay, we have 7 minutes. I just want to say, we don't have any revisions to the Wetlands Protection Act yet, so that's still very much ongoing and under review with the state. So just something to keep in mind as we move along here.
I had one thing about Lahey that I could
Yeah,
address now.
okay, perfect.
Those rooftops are still sitting there, and I'm gonna mention every single meeting until they get moved, because they don't belong where they are.
Okay. Rooftops.
What the kiosks, top should
Yeah.
go into the broken,
I think
falling
it's
apart.
great, you have your open space liaison coming up soon.
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
talk about that.
Yep.
Okay.
Rooftops. I'm adding it to my list of goals. Roofs.
Do you want to come up and get ready?
That's supposed to be our premier park, and it's to get all this trash.
Andy
in
left
front-
me the full
front
set if
lawn.
you need them, if they want them, but I wasn't gonna roll them out unless. Thank you.
You could make them too, I mean, it's not like-
We're gonna certify that vernal pool.
The rooftops? Oh, yeah, you got into the ground?
Oh, oops. Yeah, that's how they go.
Okay, so we have a couple minutes. I guess I do want to bring up something that's really, really important that came up over the last couple of weeks. So the town of Pembroke has established a system, just because we're experiencing cases of avian influenza in town, and we've confirmed cases. So the town of Pembroke has set up a system for reporting. So what you want to do, there's a link on the town website to a portal where you can report the sick or deceased wildfowl that are on the water bodies, or you can contact the town manager's office at 781-293-3844. It's an ongoing matter, but the town is working with its animal control officer and the state to facilitate the removal of these poor animals, and we're doing the absolute very best that we can to manage what we're contending with. So
It's
just,
important you don't touch the animals.
and it's very important you don't touch the animals. It's very important that if you have pets, you keep them on a leash. This illness is actually something that can be harmful to other household pets like cats, and then also predatory birds like raptors, for example, eagles or hawks, and then also
Waterfowl.
owls. And it's waterfowl are the ones who are primarily affected in this case, and then also predators that are on land are also subject to this. So it's very important that if anybody sees something, that they say something in this case, because this is a town-wide effort here, and we have eyes everywhere, so we just have to use them and report what we see.
You said there's been some reported?
Yes, yeah, and we're in the like, was it the 51 or 61, Sabrina?
61.
61, okay, so that's where we're at right now.
Cases?
From January 15th to the present.
Yep,
In Pembroke?
in Pembroke. Yeah.
No, those are 61 deceased birds. Of the
Okay.
tested birds,
Okay.
we have had positive samplings. Not all 61 are tested.
Yeah.
It's, the state won't pay for that.
Exactly.
The eagles have been tested, the
Is it
owls have been
possible to
tested.
have
They lost
that
an eagle?
forwarded to us,
Baby,
email or
juvenile.
something?
Oh, man.
This,
It ate the
I
other
can
one.
give it to you.
You notice where we can notify people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, there's
Here, I
phone
can give it to
numbers
you.
and emails, and there's a form on the website. She just read off the phone number.
Bob, I can,
But I mean, can we have a score?
Yes, hand
Bob, I
that
can
right
email
over.
it to
Yep,
you too, okay?
sure thing.
Does that sound good?
And where
Yeah, we don't wanna,
my family is
want
located in
everybody to
an
know.
area of great
Yes.
concern.
No
Yeah,
worries.
everybody
Happy to
needs
do it.
to
I can
know.
email it off if you don't have it.
Depending which way the wind blows.
But it's
Front
so
page of the
good.
website.
Yeah.
It says news story, and then it links over to the form. It goes straight to the animal control officer, then it goes to Mass Wildlife.
And it's so good that we have that portal up. It's so important.
Yep.
So
Very
thank
much
you.
Oh, that sucks, little baby.
Well, it's in care right now. It's being
He's
stabilized.
died.
Yeah, but we don't know what the thing is there's no cure
Yeah.
for it, but
what the long-term
we don't know what the
effect is.
outcome is, if we caught it early enough or what.
Well,
So, but yeah, reporting is the #1 way to stop this from continuing. Okay, sorry, that was doom and gloom. Do we have any good news on the conservation side of things?
it's good news
Lots
that
of
pretty
water.
baby eagle is saving.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is for humans to catch it, you gotta practically live with an animal.
Give it CPR.
I'm not giving my chicken CPR today.
No, that would be too close of
Yeah.
proximity.
For comfort.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Are you ready?
We are ready, we're coming up on it.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Close enough.
Close enough, okay. So, we are gonna go ahead and open into, so it's 7:30, we're going to open up our hearing for RDA at High Street for water main replacement. Would you mind providing us with your information?
Good evening, my name is Chris Davson. I'm a project engineer with Apex. And I'm here tonight presenting on the High Street water main replacement request for determination of applicability on behalf of the Pembroke Water Department. So just kind of wanted to, what we'll be talking about tonight, I'll do a quick project overview, the scope of our work and installation methods, any work we'll be doing within the buffer zones, and our proposed environmental protection measures. So, we are proposing to install new 8-inch ductile iron water main on High Street from the intersection of Center down to just about Taylor Street. Technically, the town line is right down there, right before Taylor Street, so all the way up until the town line. We'll be replacing, currently, the water main is 8-inch unlined cast iron water main. And we'll also, as a part of this project, be doing about 350 feet of 12-inch into Forest Street, which is also currently 8-inch unlined cast iron water main. The reason we're doing this is because right now the water department is getting severe dirty water calls on High Street. That 8-inch cast iron water main is in bad condition, and because it's unlined, it's subject to buildup of tuberculation around the pipe, as you can see on the picture there. And we also want to add new hydrants, valves, get in code with the hydrants every 500 feet per AWWA standards, and allow for better operation and maintenance of the water department in that area.
I have a question about that. Why wouldn't you install a larger pipe?
So we actually do evaluate a hydraulic model of the water main in the area. The 8-inch is sufficient to carry the available fire flow needs in the area. Currently, that 8-inch water main is so heavy with tuberculation that it actually slows down the flow of the water main in the area. And on top of that, people can get some dirty water and their discoloration in their water and everything like that. It also, because of the corrosive soils, it can eat through that 8-inch cast iron water main. So the size needed was determined to be still 8-inch. It's just the materials and condition of the existing water main.
There's a 6-inch just above us.
Tuberculation.
So there is side streets that are listed as 6-inch, so those will be side street connections. In addition, all hydrant laterals will be 6-inch. That's standard for all hydrant installations.
There's no dead ends? The loops, or what do they do there?
So there are a couple dead-end side streets, but the water main through High Street is looped through like Forest Street, Mountain Ave, and Center Street. So our installation methods, for the large majority of the project, we'll be doing what we call open cut trench water main installation. It'll be about a 4-foot wide trench with approximately 5 feet of cover on top of the water main. The existing water main in High Street, where we have side street connections, will be abandoned in place using mechanical joint caps. All water services for residents will be transferred over to the new water main, and as I said, we'll be installing plenty of new fire hydrants. There is a section of water main that we will be doing horizontal directional drill at the very top of Center Street, at the intersection of Center Street and High Street. Herring Brook does have a pretty good sized culvert down there, so we will have to do a horizontal directional drill. This is a pretty good representation of what happens. There's a drill that goes through a path, makes a pathway for the water main to go underneath the culvert. Then on the other side, when it comes out the other side, they attach the HDPE fused pipe to the end of the reamer, which then pulls the pipe back through the path that was drilled. Our restoration methods, we will be doing backfilling with suitable materials. We did do several borings along High Street, so we do know what type of materials are native, and we have geotech specialists that give us good backfill material requirements. The contractor will then compact the trench, sweep and prep it, leaving it 5 inches lower than the existing grade, and then we'll come back and do trench pavement. As a part of this project, we are also at the very end doing a full width mill and overlay of High Street. The condition of High Street isn't the greatest right now, so the water department wants to make sure that we get new pavement down there. Our work in the buffer zones, so as I kind of alluded to, we will be doing a directional drill here. We do have a little legend down here, so anything in green is delineated wetlands by Pembroke Consultants. Then we have the mean annual high water line, a 100-foot buffer zone, and 200-foot riverfront area. And then the red lines with the little circles is representative of where we'll be installing our filter sock. In addition, all catch basins in the area will have sedimentation control as well. So we will be having 2 access pits, one on either side of the culvert, approximately 70 feet on center from the culvert. The wetlands will be protected with filter sock in the area. And as I said, we will be installing sedimentation control for those catch basins, which will likely be silt bags.
And you take those out when the project's done, right?
Huh?
You take those out when the project's done?
Yes, correct.
The drilling, is there, how do you keep the hole open
So they do excavate a pit on each end.
on each side?
And then, so that's what these 2 squares here are. And then that, like, as I said, that drill goes down through, they have like a little mechanism on the drill that shows them where they'll be going, what angle they're going at, how deep they need to go. This is representative of the culvert on High Street. The crown of our pipe will be at a depth of 15.5 feet, and the bottom of the culvert is at a depth of, I believe it's around 18, so we'll have 2.5 feet between the pipe and the culvert.
How do they maintain that opening?
So they do have like rigs on, their rig on site. The opening, like it's pre-excavated,
Yep.
and then the drill rig goes down through it. There isn't really a way of keeping it open other than it's already open. It doesn't really need to be maintained because there's nobody down actually in the hole. There will be like a wet slurry mix that comes with the
Okay.
drilling.
Slurry.
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but we will be requiring the driller to have a contingency plan in the event of a frac out.
Is that pipe, what's the composition of the pipe?
It is fused HDPE pipe.
Which means, what you said?
It's like plastic.
Plastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's
it's
a very-
flexible.
Yeah.
And the drill drills a hole,
Mm-hmm.
and then you stuff the pipe in after it, or does the drill pull it along with it
So
so
the-
it doesn't cave in? And
Yeah, they call it like, so the drill goes all the way through with, and it has a sleeve around it to
Right.
keep that opening open, and then the reamer is what they call it on the end of the drill. There's an attachment for it for that fused HDPE pipe to get pulled back through in
Okay,
the
so
same.
there's no chance that it'll collapse?
Yeah, that
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 was my
sleeve
main-
allows
and-
for no undermining.
And how deep did, you said 2.5 feet under?
Yes,
the
we will be
culvert?
2.5 feet underneath the bottom of the culvert.
Okay, so normally I'd worry about it collapsing, but if you're gonna keep that sleeve in,
Yeah.
being 2.5 feet under, because that could still, you know,
Yeah, and we
cause a
do work
problem.
with a driller to come up with all these elevations and everything to make sure that they're comfortable with what we're proposing. So we have contacted Henniker Driller to make sure that this is sufficient cover for them.
And other than going under the culverts, everything else is on the asphalt
Yes. So
road.
I'll kind of go through each area. There are a lot of wetlands on High Street.
Before you flip that, I do have a question. I can't really see it very well on the plan, but where is the mean high water line in the cross section?
So in the cross section elevation wise, so the mean annual high water line is, I believe, I want to say 4 inches above the bottom of the culvert pipe.
Okay.
So that would be just about like this area.
Okay.
I don't have the elevation off the top of my head, but I could get it for you. We do have all this surveyed.
Okay. Yeah, I would like.
Yeah.
I would like
Are
that.
you talking about dewatering there too? I mean, they're gonna have to do
There's any chance I have that.
I don't think so. I took these directly from those, so.
I mean, it's HDPE pipe, so it's like the consideration of it wearing, it's a plastic, so it's not necessarily going to be subjected to any sort of tumultuous degradation sitting there. And it's also, you know, it's one of those types of plastics that's free of all the chemicals we don't like, so,
These ones we know about.
the ones we know about, the ones that we report on. Yeah, I mean, it's been done before. Yeah, you can flip, go ahead,
Okay.
it's fine. I'm not looking at anything other than like just.
As I mentioned, we do have several wetland areas along High Street. So this is between 61, 68 High Street. Again, we're back to conventional open trench water main installation. We do have a couple service transfers in this area. We will be installing filter sock on both sides of the street within the 100-foot buffer zone. Where we can, we do like to extend 10 feet beyond the 100-foot buffer zone area. Obviously, on this side, we have some driveways that we can't go through, but very similar between 77 High Street and Herringbrook Lane. In this area, we do have a couple side street connections and as well as an easement connection, but again, open cut trench with some service transfers, filter sock between any work and the wetland resource area. 122 High Street to 128 High Street, another delineated wetland. Again, a couple service transfers and water main installation. The intersection of James Way and Bolte Drive, so we do have two side street connections in this area, so we will be extending the filter sock up along the side streets to coincide with how far our water main's going up.
What's the orange line that goes, and you look like a U?
So this is the 100-foot buffer zone.
And it's a 12-inch silk sock, correct?
Correct, 12-inch silt sock staked every 10 feet on center. 226 High Street to 243 High Street, hydrant installation, water main installation, and a couple service transfers. And then our last one is at the intersection of Old Washington Street to 332 High Street. A side street connection, and I believe 3 service transfers in this area. So our proposed environmental protection measures, like I said, we will be requiring the driller to submit a contingency plan to us in the event that there is a frack out. So as I said, that driller uses a slurry. It is a bentonite and water mixture, so it is all natural, but in the event that something does happen, they will have to give us a plan. And our requirements for that will be visually monitoring any accessible areas such as the entry and exit pits, the bore path, and general drilling signs of a bentonite leak. If there is a frack out, all work will cease immediately. They'll be monitoring and modifying the fluid properties to avoid any buildup of annular fluid pressure. They will have to have a Vector truck on site, ready to go in case they need to vac up any of the bentonite that gets out.
What is bentonite?
It's like a clay soil mixture. So it's basically that mixed with water makes up, I believe it's 75% bentonite, 25% water. They will remove drilling fluid for the contaminated area if possible, or in the waterway. The fluid will be left in place to congeal. They will have to provide a method of plugging the frac out. This generally depends on the conditions that they encounter, but they will have to provide us with a plan of plugging it. The driller will then, at the end, develop a report which will include the time, place, and type of drilling fluid and the action taken to minimize and stabilize the frac out site. The driller then will provide that to the general contractor, who will then be responsible for any remediation needed, such as siltation barriers in the waterway, as you can see here. That's just an example of like what those look like, but they might use sandbags, they might use the siltation barriers, anything that they need to do, the general contractor will be responsible for that.
Can they also provide notice to the conservation office if any of this type of situation
Yes,
happens
so-
within our jurisdictional areas?
Yes, that report, if that does happen, will be provided to the Conservation Commission. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is going on. You're going to have engineers on the job watching what's going on?
Yes, so we do
You're
for,
number one man. In other words, you're our number one contact. If we have a
yes.
problem.
So we will be in contact. I'll likely give Andy a call and let him know when this is going to take place. He is always invited to our pre-construction meetings as well with the contractor, so he'll be aware of the timeline when they plan to do it. We do require the contractor to give us a good amount of heads up before
Just for
this
sure.
takes place.
I'd like to make sure we put in that our agent be invited to all contractor meetings, not maybe, will be.
Yeah, he is invited, and if we do have any progress meetings along the duration of the project, because it is a rather long project, he'll be invited to those as well.
How long is the project?
So it's about 2.5 miles of water main total. The hope is they'll start in mid-April and end in October. That's if everything goes well.
One season.
Yeah. And then we'll have the mill and overlay completed before the winter months.
What about dewatering? I'm always concerned about dewatering, and I know that area, and I know that there's no way you're going to the bottom of those trenches
Yes.
without your swimming trunks on.
So in our borings, we did find some groundwater, some higher groundwater in a couple areas. We will be requiring dewatering bags. So if they do encounter any groundwater that they need to remove from the trench, they'll have to pump to a semi-permeable dewatering bag that'll capture any siltation in the trench, and it'll just release the water naturally.
In trench boxes, right? Of course.
Always.
Of course, okay.
Soil level, hydraulics.
So filter sock, like I said, 12-inch filter sock, staked every 10 feet on center. We will notify conservation when all that is installed prior to construction to give you guys a chance to go out and perform an inspection to make sure everything's up to your likings.
Will the silt socks be inspected daily or weekly?
Yes,
What is
so
the
we
plan?
do have a resident project engineer we will be providing on site. He will be inspecting filter sock and silt bags daily. If there's any areas of degradation of the filter sock or any silt sacks that seem to be full after a storm or anything like that, he will be letting the contractor know, and they'll have to remove or clean it out or replace the filter sock.
Awesome.
What do you do for water during this process to all the residents and say the buyer who's gonna,
So the existing water main does remain online.
does it?
Yes, so no services are transferred over to the new water main until it's been successfully pressure tested and disinfected. And then we'll abandon sections of it at a time.
You said you're gonna cap the old pipe?
Yes, the old pipe will be capped and left in place for now. Silt sacks, as I mentioned, inspected daily by our RPR. If any issues come up, they'll either be cleaned out or replaced. They'll also be removed if we anticipate a heavy storm event in case of any buildup.
Especially in the fall.
Yes. And then, as I mentioned, we will be requiring dewatering bags for any groundwater encountered in the trench. So just a summary, we will be providing silt sack, we'll be requiring silt sacks, filter sock, and a contingency plan from the contractor. You will be notified of a pre-construction meeting as soon as we have one and invited to that, and as well as being invited out to inspect any erosion controls. All erosion controls will be required to be installed prior to any construction taking place. Our installation of approximately 10,850 feet of 8-inch and 12-inch water main will be through open cut and horizontal directional drilling. After the 90-day settlement period of that trench pavement, we'll be coming back and doing that 1.5-inch mill and overlay curb to curb to restore, it'll restore the original drainage patterns on the street. We won't have any change to new impervious area. And all environmental protection measures will be removed by the contractor upon completion of the project. Any other questions you may have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make sure that bentonite crack contingency plan, that we get a copy of it.
Yes, definitely.
And then do you have a business card just in case?
I'd also like to make sure that we have a list of emergency contact numbers, you know, supply
Issues
for
and-
anyone that we might need. I mean,
Yeah.
not just the one engineer, because if he's off on vacation, we're out of line. I mean,
I
it's
would
like
never.
We know how to get a hold of you.
I would never. I don't, but I can give you,
Can I write it down?
yes.
Yeah, if you wouldn't just mind writing it there, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
Cool. All right. Do we have any questions, any additional questions here?
Not I.
Do we have anybody here up to offer public
I'm
comment?
still a little concerned what we're gonna do with pumped off water and the water that when we test the main and all that. Where is this
Disinfecting
water,
water.
where is it scheduled to go down in this area that we have that's very environmentally sensitive?
What do you mean, like the dewatering bags?
Well, the water, but also when you pressure your main,
Yeah,
and then you have to take and
disinfect.
de-infect it all, and all that extra water is going somewhere. I mean, we do have brooks and other things in the area, but where is it scheduled to go?
And what do you use for disinfecting? And will it affect the environment if you pump it out and you say if it gets in a brook or something?
So we do require contractors no discharge from pressure testing, leak testing, anything like that. Disinfection is allowed to be discharged into any waterways, any wetlands. It's all required to go through the drain system.
Yeah.
And they use hosing to set all that up to make sure that the water goes where it's supposed to go. Our resident project engineer will be on top of that anytime that it happens.
What do they use for disinfecting?
They chlorinate the water main.
Any other questions?
Yeah, you did say that you were gonna have daily oversight
Yes.
by an engineer, or,
Yeah, so resident project engineer, they will be in contact with, I'll be the contact for the office staff.
Right.
But he will be calling me daily with updates. He provides us with daily reports. And then at the end of the week, we provide the town with a weekly report.
Okay.
I had another question when you're talking about resurfacing, getting to the end of a project. We went over compacting the trenches, 90-day for settling, and then I thought you said they were gonna take and put the cap right over the trench without another layer of asphalt. In other words, I usually like to see asphalt on top of the trench before the cap, or else after a few years, I don't care how well you've compact it, you get that settling there, that extra set of asphalt, 4 inches of asphalt on top of your compact before the top cap.
Yeah, so what they do compaction. We do have compaction requirements to 95%. We do require compaction testing every 200 linear feet of our trench. So that gets compacted. Then they do what we call 5-inch trench pavement. That,
Okay, that's what I missed that.
That's
Yeah.
what he's talking about.
yeah.
That's what I
So we
wanted to
do the 5-inch trench pavement, and then at the end, they'll come in, mill up the top 1.5 of the entire roadway and do a leveling.
And I'm sure you have performances in line with the water department's standards and everything that they typically
We
do.
do we work with them quite a bit.
Okay. Last chance for the last question, and we'll move on.
And they, of course, paint the lines on the road.
Yes.
There. Okay. And nobody in public comment, as far as I see? Nope.
Motion to
Okay.
close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
And then we have the motion to issue.
Yeah, this is a motion for -3 determination with what we talked about. I have a few things here. The bentonite crack contingency plan, giving us a copy. Notify Concom if there's any issues, notify the agent for a pre-construction meeting, and a list of emergency contacts. And we talked about daily oversight by an engineer, and whatever else anybody talked about should be included. And I rest.
May the weather be with you.
Do we have a second?
Second.
He wins in the race this time. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you so much. Please note that any person aggrieved by this decision has the right of appeal within 10 business days. Please contact our office or DEP if you need assistance.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Enjoy the slush.
Okay,
Okay,
we're done.
moving on.
We get to sit conservation, open space.
What?
Somebody
Okay.
want to make a
So-
motion so we can go home?
No, we're not
What-
there
what-
yet. Stop
what are
it.
we gonna do
Casey's
now?
here. No, so we're moving
Things cracking out.
on to new business. We closed it.
Oh,
We're moving on to new business. So we have our Tracy Marino here.
oh.
Look at all those
Oh.
representatives.
So we're
I
here to
thought-
discuss the,
If you don't want to stand the whole time, you can have a seat.
come hang out with us.
Bob, do you want to join us? Okay, then. You should be up here. This is very large.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I'm
So, so Tracy Marino is here to discuss the Open Space Committee, or the dealings of the Open Space Committee, but then also the open space plan that we have ongoing. And do you want to give us a little blurb first before we start talking?
So, I'm a relatively new chair of the Open Space Committee. Mike McDonough did step down. He had been the chair for at least since I've joined, and that was 6 or 7 years ago. He did remain on the committee, so that's fabulous. We are down to about 4 members. We just had one more exit yesterday, actually. Denise Moraski is leaving. She's moving to Vermont.
Lucky.
So that leaves myself and Bob and Julie Slice and Mike, who did stay.
Could you let them, I don't know if everyone knows who that is.
Bob is back here. Bob Clark is here.
Bob Clark Jr.
Yes, I know, I try not to do that. So I do believe our open space plan is expiring upcoming. They're a 3-year plan. There was There was a tentative one in place, so I'm not sure if it expires in 25 or 26, so you might want to take a look at that to see. So that's typically our main purpose. When we're on downtime from things like that, we were doing things like trail cleanings and working on Laggy and just trying to bring some attention and community involvement to open space. We did have an open space liaison for quite a while, Ron Boyd, but he had moved on, and then Teresa Harling, as you know, was ours, and I know she left, so we've really been left without a liaison. So I guess where we're at right now is we're just looking to you for some direction on what you would like us to do for you. Obviously, the open space plan is a given once it's time for that to begin, but other than that, we feel like we could be helpful in other ways too, and we just want to check in with you to see what you would like. Do you have a plan for us?
Can you get rid of those
The
rooftops?
kiosks on
the
Laggy, yes, it's on my list.
Okay.
It's on my list. I'll touch base and see what the deal is.
They can even go out
We need
back
to
or
put them
something.
someplace, I just don't know where.
They're not really very good
It's
condition.
unsightly, I know, and they're huge. So, yep, that's on my list to check in on, but do you as a committee have any sort of thoughts and plans for what you would like us to do to be helpful for you?
So I guess a couple of my immediate thoughts just in going over the open space plan. I mean, a lot of the goals are about clean water. Obviously, we're working on that, and there are a lot of other people involved. But I think with that, there is an opportunity to reconsider our buffer zones and also potentially the promulgation of a local wetland regulation just to increase protections for those water resource areas. So, I mean, not that that's necessarily something that the Open Space Committee can help us with, but it's just, that's like my immediate thought. It's like, we have to have a 50-foot no new disturb. But then, I guess in terms of, what are some of the things that the Open Space Committee has provided in the past? Because I'm trying to wrap my head around it in terms of, just being relatively new to the Conservation Commission. What
A lot of it was community involvement. Like I said, the open space plan is a part of our scope, within our scope, but in between that, we really kind of took it upon ourselves to do, again, it was the trail cleanings. We did those for probably, 4 to 6 months out of the year. Brought attention to Laggy. That was a big one because that was a relatively new property. We really wanted to get people over there to see it. We would still love to participate in having this finally. I always envisioned that we would have a grand opening of this property. It's been sitting there for so long. The previous owner is still around. He actually walked me through the property, it's been a couple of years now. A couple of times he has. Another thing that I would love to look into is a lot of our kiosks are either damaged or blank or old or whatever. I think it would be nice to have a kiosk at every trailhead that matches. I know we have a couple that other scouts have actually done already, so that would be something we could avoid. But we have plain white kiosks that I don't think we've ever seen trail maps on. I would love to either apply for CPC funding for that, or maybe talk to Wildlands Trust a little. That would be another thing that we could probably help with. I feel like you guys are stuck behind the desk doing a lot of paperwork processing. And so if there's things that we could do like out in the community, we really are your subcommittee, so I don't want to just run with whatever it is that I want to do. I was hoping that you guys had some sort of thoughts.
I have something that is it the southern end of Tubbs Meadow on Mill Street, the entrance there? There used to be a nice sign, a gate and a
I
fence.
just had this conversation about the rusted gate, right? The sign is gorgeous actually still, but the rusted gate is a mess.
No, that's on the one. It's like a stand with you would put maps on and stuff.
Oh,
it's
okay,
all
not
like
that.
broken down, graffiti all over it. And
Yep,
it's
same thing. Again, these are things that I feel like should be repaired.
And there's a fence that keeps people from falling down into the ditch there, and it's all broken up too.
Mill Street, you said,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yep, I know, I've seen that. That's long overdue. So like, would you like our concentration to be on certain properties, trail cleanings, Laggy, again, like back in the, when this first came up on my radar, I thought that, it would be a trail system, which is great, and I know that that's in process of building a parking area and things. It would be nice to get that moving forward, though. And eventually, I would love to see a community garden back there, but, you know, that's out on, we have to
Absolutely.
finish the property first. We
Do you
can't-
know about the
can't
bird
do
shelter
that.
there?
I do, yep, I've been over there.
Yep.
Yep, I've seen it, I have.
So I'm working on putting together some plans for consideration by the select board for the bird, why did I say the bird? I'm just thinking about the other
Is there
thing.
anything else holding up the Laggy property here?
Bill is ready, well, he needs to come back again to propose. There was some
Well,
issue
cool,
last
already.
time. I
Okay.
Wait,
think
what was
it might
it?
have been a swallow issue.
A barn swallow issue? The barn swallow.
I know that
That's
Bill's
still
coming
there.
back, and that will refresh this whole conversation from
Oh,
that
good.
standpoint, which is
Okay.
good. There is also a pretty extensive open space management guideline online.
Yeah.
That would be a good thing to take a look at. It's 5 years old, and it's a good place for conservation to review it, to see if it's still relevant, and what kind of information do you want to share with the community that's out there doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
by all means, you could be holding meetings regularly, but you're supposed to be out there.
Right.
So
So-
I've run through most of the open space plan and kind of
No,
cross-referenced
there's a,
that.
I was gonna say, there's a whole separate
Yeah.
plan
It's a different
for
document.
them.
Yeah,
Yep,
Yep.
I was gonna say, I can shoot it to you if you don't already have it.
just in case.
Yep,
Because I was looking at
absolutely.
something from the state that was a guide for open space plans in general.
And if you got a liaison, technically it's not on your jet lag.
It was. Is there a plan to reinstate somebody as a liaison between?
Yeah, so we did
He's
table
not
the
here tonight.
discussion in lieu
Yeah,
of
I
all
did
of our
hear about
members
Yeah.
being here, but,
We can-
It
I
was
mean-
just a nice connection to have. I think we lost a little bit of our collaboration
Yeah.
when we lost having a liaison. in
and that's
place.
huge. Like that one's been the priority, at least for me, for the liaison roles, just simply because we do have so much work to do with that.
It would just be a nice point person. My priority would also be to try to refill our committee. As I said, we're down to 4 right now, and I'm not sure that everybody is going to be staying. I did send out an email just because it's been a little quiet lately to check in and see if everybody was interested in still remaining. So I
Can
did
we
not
run some
necessarily
kind,
hear back from
some sort of an
everybody.
ad campaign or something to promote?
I'm sorry.
Can you, like, maybe the selectmen and our board, we could ask people during our meeting?
So the
Sure.
first
For new, yes, so that, I just wanted to have a meeting with you tonight before, and then we'll post for that.
So I did see like the vacancy for Concom, the Concom liaison on the website, but then obviously we have to update that website to reflect those current vacancies and the changes that have been made. Because that's our number one source of advertisement, right, is when we have those vacant roles or those main pages.
It's just been problematic, and we have committees with vacancies that are undefined and untasked with no mission.
Yeah.
And someone says, I think I want to be on it.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to steer them the way they need to go to get excited and involved.
So we have the open space plan and we have kind of like those beginning statements in the document. Could we kind of turn those into some sort of a mission statement?
Oh, we
for
have
the-
mission statements on
Oh,
both pages.
okay, I was like,
No,
wait,
no,
wait.
no, no, the point is, a new person without any direction or context
Yeah,
isn't necessarily jumping into a role
yeah.
that doesn't have a robust.
Right, so we can read the
engagement.
description, we can read the mission, but if somebody would say to me, so what do you do?
Yeah.
I want to be able to say, well, we do trail cleanings and we work
Yeah.
on the different open space parcels and land in town. Again, we do the open space plan, but I feel like you just read that mission and that's really not a huge explanation. And I think what we do changes. It changes by what your needs are, so it would be nice to know what you want from us, and then I can get people excited to help us.
It sounds silly, but the Laggy Preserve goals that have been identified in the open space guidelines
Yeah.
from 2020, 2/3 of them are moved.
Right,
So
And-
now they need updating.
Yeah.
And who tasks open space? You're asking them to task themselves, or you guys are gonna develop those and share them back so the work gets done, and you guys communicate.
so I started in an Adobe document and started adding comments, so like maybe we need, because the MBTA thing has changed, and it's just like there are a lot of different, like the zoning, everything's kind of changing.
If I want to get in the middle of something here, and I don't know if I want to, but
Please do.
I almost see open space being in a funny position. In other words, is open space the grunts doing the work, or is open space part of the planning of what's it needs to get done?
Both.
Or is the planning strictly going to be conservation and we throw it at you and say, here's what we want you to do, you find the grunts to go out and do this work?
Well, I think it's a conversation. I mean, if you're requesting us to, you know, reinstate trail cleanings over time, then that's something we can do pretty easily. But I think it's a conversation.
I think we
Always.
need a mix for for open space, not.
I just don't want the separation anymore. We are a subcommittee of yours, and I feel like there's been a bit of a separation, and I just want to reconnect us.
And I don't want to interrupt, I know that this is not my place, but historically, like what happened in the past, Melissa Joyce worked with the prior Conservation Commission on the open space plan in 2019, 2020. All through COVID, she was doing remote listening sessions, some of you were there, and it finally was approved, it was accepted July of 2022. So that was an administrative conservation recreation effort, because it's an open space and recreation plan. To have the open space committee do the plan is illogical. Under the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions, they say that you are open space committee. Oftentimes towns will create an open space committee so that conservation can go task the open space committee with developing a plan for logging, or cleaning the trails, or figure out who mows that and find out why it's not being mowed. So your goals are executed through this body. But your paperwork and your public hearings and your forums and your agendas and your minutes, that doesn't make sense to go down to the open space committee. You guys are the partner of this group who sits here and makes decisions. And in the past, I do appreciate the discussion that the open space committee should be more involved in the open space plan. Dialogue-wise, sure. On the committee that forms the plan, absolutely. But I would not make these guys do the plan. That would be mean.
300 and something pages.
It would be mean.
Review.
Let them partner with other people, like.
With
And
the
I
old
understand that,
colony.
and that's what I'm looking
Yes,
for
yes,
that.
I think that is what you were trying to ask. I'm
Exactly.
sorry to
Ask
interrupt, but
about,
that's
yeah.
why I threw that out.
So
Well
the
put.
Old Colony Planning Council helped out in the previous version, so we'll be
Wait, were they
soliciting
the ones who
them.
did the last one, or was it Conway?
Them and,
No, it was a combination. We had students from Conway,
Yes.
and we had a DLTA,
I heard
technical
what
assistance
they were
grant.
doing that.
That helps clean it up and get it filed
Okay.
for July 22.
Right.
So
That
So that means it is expiring this
is
year.
gonna go, should be bought.
potentially.
It's 3 years.
Like,
it's confusing to me because I looked on the
Is
state
that- is
website, like a
the-
list of open
so
space.
many
So that is
functions
definitely
and-
something we want to
occurring
start
on
talking about.
Yep.
The expiration that I saw, and this is why it's confusing for me, is April of 2028.
Well, we've all got a lot of latitude through COVID.
Yeah.
And she did execute a lot of things remotely. It was
Like way back.
And that would be a wonderful,
Yeah, that's true.
actually.
Yeah, because that's what I saw
Yeah.
listed on the state
It's a hang with
website.
it.
I can send it to you just in
So
case,
let's
just
get
to
this
full
done.
Well, no, I mean,
sanity.
it's online, I have a copy,
Developing
but
it
maybe
to
we just
solve
need
the
to
airport
make sure,
It just gives us more
So
time.
the
because we don't want that to
But-
lapse.
Yep.
The thing, I guess, like for, like,
Well,
things
we
that
can use
I
a lot
would
of different
think
ways.
would be a
Could be
continued
true.
goal are the trail markers.
It could be a place to have play markets.
What are you talking about?
No, flea markets.
Trail markers?
Just, well, no, just a rumor that has been around town, I don't know how valid it is, about the airport being sold beside the Lackey property.
I heard that rumor too, but I don't know.
I just wanted to spit
I
it up
don't
there.
know. The property, I would say the.
No, that property is not,
residential-
it's next to that one.
Oh, one, okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
the
one
airport.
between the airport
Not that
and
one.
the lag.
But
Yeah,
the
it's like,
town would receive
But
a
that-
notification if it were to go, if there was an offer.
Okay.
Because we would have to match it under
Yeah.
the terms of their title.
That is one that I've heard like a rumor, I didn't know if anybody else knew anything.
it was my fault. I looked at it too fast.
I have a question.
Sure.
You go to a lot of towns and you see these beautiful signs and beautiful kiosks and everything's laid out. And you go, why don't we have that? And I'm thinking to myself, who organizes that? Is that what conservation is supposed to be doing?
I don't know that they are.
Or do you hire a professional to come in and
actually-
evaluate the property? Oh, this is the entrance. Oh, here, look, you can do this, you can do that. That would go nice here.
And there are multiple places that do things like that. I think Wildlands Trust even has a program.
It's a branding. You
Right.
actually brand it with a similar look, a similar font, a
Right,
similar
right,
size.
exactly.
Yeah, it's like-
Color, And that way you can keep it consistent throughout your town.
Which
And
would
to your
look
point,
nice.
look at our town buildings alone. They're all very different. We have some cohesive strategy that is missing. that needs
Well,
to be
like
worked
if you
on.
go to
It's a little honky-tonk.
Wildlands Trust, and, you know, everything's trimmed, and there's signage, and there's
Their properties you mean.
walkways, and everything's dressed. It's not somebody just going down there and
And
throwing something.
They have paid people doing a lot of that work.
Right, which is
Yeah.
why, so I would love to reach out to them and see if we could manage something. I would love to get pricing, obviously. Maybe it is an option that we
Yeah,
apply
I-
for different grants, again, CPC funding or some sort of
Grants,
grant.
Yeah, I know it's money involved to do
Well,
something
It would be
like
nice
that,
if it
but.
didn't cost us any money, maybe it would.
Well, and maybe you could look at what you have and see if any of them strike you as being right.
Yep.
So you already have one to go from, and then try to make that
I don't know what we do.
replicate.
I'm sorry to say.
There's some people who love some of the
Yeah.
quaint signs. I know that you have a couple of favorites yourself.
And, you know, we were headed, excuse me, we were headed in that direction and then got waylaid with COVID, with all sorts of
COVID.
different things. I mean, that was what we originally were headed for when we came upon our big goal, signs that were something a little more than what we had anticipated because of lack of communications between members or somebody. And so we ended up with something that was bigger than what we could really utilize. We've put them to good use. We've done what we can to recover
I know.
from a miscue, and now we need to start again. But yes, we wanted to have all of our areas in town have similar signs saying, yes, this is Pembroke Conservation, Pembroke Open Space Area, this is your area, there are trails here. We were working on pamphlets and small books, as other towns have. Well, here you are, there's 8 different areas in town that you can visit. And here's how you get to them, here's where you can park, and here's what you can see. But it takes time and it takes people, and you have to be organized, and as I say, it's hard for 1 or 2 to do it. But if you get 2 or 3 doing it, then they'll bring more into it, and the more you have working on these projects, the easier they become.
And I think people like to hear about the projects, it gets them
Yeah.
excited and want to help. They want to know specifically what they can do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
possibly. So then priorities for open space right now would be to rebuild our committee. I would like to refill that. To investigate how we could possibly get new kiosks placed in the places that are either missing or damaged or unfixable.
We should probably get inventory for these over there.
Yep, well, I mean, I could tell you.
I mean, like photographically.
Oh, yes, yep. I mean, like I said, we do have a few nice ones that the scouts have done for Eagle Scout projects, Veterans Forest, Laggy did one, somebody did one at Laggy. The other one's are Willowbrooks, so Willowbrook is Wildlands and then Canoe Club, but like Bicentennial, the J.J. Shepherd doesn't have anything, Tubbs Meadow is damaged, and there's actually one that needs to be removed from Veterans that's, again, it's just white slate with graffiti on it, which says some really not nice things. Yeah. Yes, I did send a picture of that. No, bottom sport is fine. So I mean, it's not a huge amount of them, but the ones that are left, they've probably been there for as long as I've lived here, and I don't think I've ever seen maps on them. So,
They're
it's been a long time, yeah. So I would love, that would be something you would be comfortable with us doing. 'Cause
It'd be
I could-
nice if we could do
I
like
would touch
QR
base.
codes.
I would love,
Yeah.
we talked about that as well. So that reinstituting.
Yeah.
Yep, and it would bring you right to the trail image, yep. And then continuing or reinstituting the trail cleanings. I think those were necessary anyway, obviously for maintenance reasons, but it also got the community involved, and those people wanted to stay involved in other things to do with open space, so that was nice. I think Laggy being at a standstill is rough. That was, it really pulled people in. They were excited about a new property.
Yep.
And once it just kind of got stuck, we really lost a lot of the people that were interested in that. We had scouts that were super interested in it. They wanted to camp there. They did camp there. They built us some things. We had many trail cleanings over there, but then it just kind of petered out because the progress petered out. So I don't, like I said, if there's anything I can help with moving that along.
I have a question on that. So was there a survey put out on how the community would want to utilize this property, or?
I don't know that there was.
Was it just like general feedback?
I don't, I mean, what else would we do with it, I guess?
What I was thinking
We
is
talked
like,
about,
There were also some terms that were given to Mr. Lottie.
yes, we
To
do.
be allowed by.
okay,
So
Yeah.
we don't necessarily have the ability to accommodate all survey answers, but your point, we don't know, we didn't ask.
Right.
like one of the things I was thinking about is like we have the Wildlands Trust providing care and custody to so many of our other trail systems in town. So like, would it be unreasonable to, in some way, divide the care and custody of that parcel, or turn it into multiple parts?
Turn
I
it
don't
into
know
what?
if there's a
So
restriction on it.
it's
so
funny
you
that
can
I
break
did,
it up in that
I
way.
did look into this as well. I mean, obviously Wildlands Trust is not a free service.
Yeah.
So that one, and there was another one, I looked a little bit into, because I thought the same thing. We have all these trails, but who cleans them and who maintains them? The DPW can't do that. We are volunteers, so I mean, are we always going to have them perfectly clean? Probably not. And so Wildlands Trust actually has a trail cleaning, or trail maintenance, I should say, program that they just started, again, also costs money, that they just started not so long ago. So that was another thing I was investigating. Thought maybe that might be a more inexpensive possibility.
Okay.
Where they did trail cleanings as opposed, and you contract them, they do like, we'll do these 3, every, 6 months or something, depending on which ones, like Bicentennial grows over really quickly, but Tubbs
Yeah, it
obviously does
does.
not. Right, so, really
does.
quickly. So Wildlands Trust is, they're a great resource. Like I said, we don't, they cost money. And that doesn't necessarily shut the door either. I mean, we have the Open Space Trust Fund. There is possible places that we could, if that was gonna be a thing, at least investigate.
There's grants out there
That
for
is
just
true.
about everything.
Yes.
Again, I don't know that what is in there exactly. I don't know what it costs, but it doesn't necessarily shut the door, I don't believe. And again, we have this beautiful land and these trails. We need to maintain them somehow.
There's also interest from the folks at the farmer's market that they
Yep.
want to utilize that area too.
That was another thought too.
So,
That was my original thought. Community garden in the back. We have the trails. Most of those trails are set in place, but the back end really needs some work because it's so much wetland. And then the bridge obviously needs to be something needs to be put over that waterway. And then the front area would have the community garden, which is where the horses were in the past. And then wouldn't that make sense to have, maybe the farmer's market would be interested in that area, I don't know.
what if it was like, there's kind of a clearing behind the garden, right? If I remember correctly, isn't
There's
there?
paddocks there.
Oh, there are paddocks,
That's where we
okay.
would put it. So,
Taking the-
again, we're probably getting into far too many details here.
Sorry, yeah.
But, if we did a little investigating and it was gonna be raised beds is what we were looking to try to
Yep.
do. Mike had even found all sorts of grants. There's just so many opportunities over there. So that's why I say everybody's very excited about it, and then it just kind of petered out. So I hope in whatever is coming up next, we can just,
I picture people walking through the community garden and then arriving at the
people are
farmer's market.
excited about a new property. That was the excitement, a new property. And across from the herring run. And the other part of it too is that trail leads out to a historic piece, which is Peter's Well.
Right.
So that's just a whole other aspect to add to that, is like I said, I get excited about logging.
It-
The other thing we were talking about too is roadway.
You could
infrastructure
always
there.
also couple them together.
Crosswalks.
If there's not a perfect place for a farmer's market with the gardens, have the farmer's market at the actual herring run.
Right, and I don't know if they even want
know?
to use either of those places. That's,
You
I'm
know?
speaking out of turn saying so, but just, there's lots of opportunity over there, and it's just, we need to move forward with it to get that checked off. And it would be nice to have the previous owner out to do ribbon cutting or something. He was very excited about opening this, so he is a little dejected that it hasn't.
Yeah.
I think he wanted a
hasn't
sign
happened
that said certain things on it.
Yeah. in
yet. Yep, we
honor.
talked, so that's why that sign is there. He was pleased with that. I worked on
Oh.
that with him. That I just wanted some sort of acknowledgement while he was waiting, because that was in memory of his wife. But that's not the permanent sign. there's intended to be another sign eventually, but obviously not till it's open.
And there's also rare plants that could be identified and
Yep.
marked and
And the
educate
Allegheny ant
people.
mounds are over there, did you know that?
What?
Allegheny ant mounds are over there, did we know this?
No,
So you know you have the Allegheny ant mounds at Willowbrook, right?
yeah.
You know all about these, are those big mounds. Well, this person, Art Laggy, there's some over there, and they're active. They're way over by the
Oh,
airline.
yes, I know them, the
Yep.
anthill,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
that-
Whole
they're
line
all
of them.
over the place.
However,
Yes.
Art Laggy had somebody come out, I don't remember who he said, and they did this whole study on it. He does not have the paperwork to give me. He was gonna look for it. But when they did the study, they believed that the Willowbrook Allegheny ants actually
connect.
came from Laggy.
Yes,
So, again,
genetically.
amazing little signage to put there with some interesting information.
Also, there's very
Cyber
unique
shop.
fernage there that I've never seen before. It's
Yep.
I think an English queen
The
fern.
property is just phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
quite a, I mean, I know we did pay for it, but we paid
Right before the bridge on the right,
quite a,
there's a beautiful fern stand in there that's never seen before.
I digress. So priorities would be investigate the kiosks,
Remove the roofs.
work on getting those things out of there. Why don't you just let me take ownership of that, of hunting down that, getting those moved. I'll figure out, yep. And reinstating trail cleanings. And as I said, we need to refill our committee. I don't know how much you want us to be involved in when you do start doing open space and recreation planning, but just keep us posted, I guess.
Okay.
Is there anything else you could think of right now? And while you don't have a liaison, I mean, we'll just keep in touch.
Yeah.
Just keep in touch.
You could be the liaison.
I know, you could.
I kind of want to.
There's no reason you can't.
I
You
want
just bring
Jim to have it
information
to do
back
it.
and
Oh,
forth,
it's-
and that way it's always fair.
Open space doesn't have a ton of meetings if you're worried about a meeting, and I don't even think we should. I think at one point we were having too many meetings, honestly, and I think it was overwhelming to some people. Somebody wants to join open space and they want to go out and do things. They don't necessarily want to come and sit and
Having
talk.
meetings out on the trails on Saturday.
Honestly,
Well,
there's
that's-
just no
yeah.
need for a million meetings for something like that. So if you're worried about something where you're overwhelming
I
yourself with
think-
meetings, that's not going to be a thing.
I think some of the time, though, we need to know how much we can intercommunicate before we get to
Your
a,
subcommittee.
but I mean, in other words, if
If there's
there's
notice,
three of us here, we can talk. If there's four of us here, we can't. In other words, where are the
That's right.
boundaries that we can,
Hard boundary, that's
yeah, the
right.
hard boundaries that we can work within and still feel confident that we aren't leaving the committee or anything open
No,
to
no
the.
worries, we can talk about it afterward. There are 5 exceptions to the open meeting law. One of them is to do a site visit with 0 deliberation. So there can be no chatting on the trail, but you could theoretically all go to the trails and clean them simultaneously, side by side. Can't deliberate at all.
That's pretty hard.
we could assign,
No, it's not.
we could assign people to certain months if they wanted to volunteer on the trail cleanups. Like that could be a
See,
way
that's
to.
why you'd be afraid liaison.
I know, and I have the open space, I created a Facebook page for open space a while
But
back.
it's more about
It's not on
talking and
Thursdays, right?
communicating with open space. It's not about going.
No, I can't even tell you the last time, it's been months since we've met.
And I know, like, with
I
the
would like to-
scouts.
Right. And I think only periodically, open space actually needs an in-person meeting. It's just nice to come together for something like that, but if we're doing trail cleanings and whatnot, we're coming together there. So that sounds like an email to me, honestly.
I've tried to work out with the Mattakesa Garden Club to kind of take the lead on the gardening,
Yep.
and they don't really want to. So I think we have to shift gears and go forward in a different direction there.
Are you talking about the community garden thought?
Yes.
Okay, I know. I really love that idea.
I've
I've just been speaking with them, as a matter of fact. I will be there.
There's garden beds over there, and they want to be able to do flowers,
Oh, yeah.
here.
It's an Eagle Scout
Maybe
project.
that's the future.
Yep.
Maybe. They seem to be accurate seniors.
They're very excited about that project. I actually talked to a few of them. I'm gonna go over when they're meeting to do their planning and stuff.
They just started it.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
he's fundraising for it right now. Facebook link is up if anybody wants to donate. But it's an Eagle Scout project, so that's exciting. And I know they'll be really excited to have that over there.
One of the reasons I started that garden idea was that if you lived in public housing, they were not allowed to garden because you might poison yourself or others or things. And I thought that was just too much of a dead end
Well, I
that
think-
type of activity, so then this came up, and it's just perfect.
I think it's perfect, and I think the only thing that's
Needs a
going to
well.
be, needs some thought process over there too is water. Oh, yeah, how
Yes,
we're
a
gonna
well,
water.
and
Oh,
I
is
had
that what you
opted,
said? Sorry, we did.
I
Talked
had
over each
opted
other.
to donate a celestial garden. I have a bunch of granite stones that are perfect for setting it up. And that would connect the garden to the heavens at certain points of, interest. You'd see like a seat and a point and a star or something to connect you from the ground to the heavens.
Oh, interesting.
I have an idea, and I know like we had a couple of Eagle projects come up that were, they built kiosks, but what if we came up with a town standard for mortise and tenon joinery kiosks that the scouts could learn how to do mortise and
That would
tenon,
be a great way to do it.
right?
Yeah.
And like teach them like
Yeah.
the, right, like the building basics
And then
of
to Tracy's
joinery
point,
and.
she's gonna inventory the kiosk, or at least take a look.
Yeah.
And you'll know what the replacement schedule is, so you'll
Yeah.
always know what the next one up is.
Yep,
They teach, like follow the instructions, like this is how we,
And then
yep.
those ones will.
Have
all
it like a
be more-
blueprint.
That would be nice.
that'd be cool.
See, this is such a good partnering, I like it.
I know, I missed this. Is there anything else you can think of today that you want me to take back?
So we talked about trail markers. That was the one that I was like, we definitely need that just for safety. And then there was one other, so I have a question and then I have an idea and then I'm done, I promise. So my question is, does the Open Space Committee pursue CPC funding?
We have never.
Is that something that,
You know what, I shouldn't say that. As far as I've been on the committee,
okay,
not to my knowledge, that's why I asked if we would be free to apply for CPC funding or grant funding. Can open space do that, or does conservation have to do that? That's my
It's
question.
a slippery slope.
Yes.
Theoretically, as the subcommittee, you're requesting that they apply.
So what we would
Okay.
be best do is come up with a plan and a grant location and bring it and ask, okay.
I would prefer that.
Not only
That
that,
would
but
come
I'm saying,
to
you
us.
aren't you
That
the
makes sense.
CPC gentleman for conservation?
What, am I what?
He
You
said
are the
CPC.
representative to CPC for
Yes.
conservation. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's even a better partnership.
and you want to stay that, right?
Yes.
You like, you want to stay there? Okay, I was just checking. I'm like,
Now we need you.
Stay there.
please, for the love of God.
Quorum. Thank you.
And then my question is, and this may 100% be out of our wheelhouse, but we had talked about safety on that property. So the crosswalk, like having like a crosswalk between the Herring Run and that property, just so that there's more safety and
There is one. There's a crosswalk there.
a flashing
There's
sign.
a curb cut
I don't think there's anything
need a
flashing,
flashing
but there is a
sign.
crosswalk there.
Yeah.
And a curb cut.
Yeah,
like,
but
we need
it's,
the-
it's dangerous.
Yeah. So maybe
I
that's
know.
more of a
You
DPW
don't want to
thing.
get into that subject,
Yeah.
because that was all
Okay.
hammered out and discarded when the road was done.
Really?
There was supposed to be flashing lights there and everything else.
What happened to it, Bob? Okay.
Not supported at the right places at the right time.
Can we ask for it now?
All the piping was supposed to have been put in and everything else for them.
Yeah, I don't
And
know
it
how
didn't-
well that would work,
And it
but
didn't happen, and when it was pushed, it
There
was
was
just
a-
a bad time.
there was also a recent discussion about making crosswalks more visible not so
Yeah.
long ago, so maybe there's some other avenue to
Yeah,
assist
the
with
original
that.
thing was for flashing lights like in Hanover,
Right.
Hanson and all.
No, I know what you mean. I didn't know that about that
Joe
one, but,
Nayuti has a line on that, and you're gonna see him in March.
oh, good,
Awesome,
Yes,
good.
crosswalks for Joe. We're gonna add that to the list.
Okay, I was
awesome.
gonna say, I was like, we have the DPW director coming at the next
Mhm.
meeting, so we can just badger him about that.
No,
I'm
he's
just making a
lovely.
note for him.
Thank you.
No, we came up with a new resource, it's brilliant.
Ooh, I'd like to hear
Awesome.
about this.
Okay, those were my only questions. But
So-
I'm really excited.
I'm
This is
excited
awesome.
too. So in the meantime, then, we'll just pretend you're the liaison?
Do it.
We can do an informal.
I think you should revisit that agenda item.
Yeah, we'll talk about it at the next meeting when Jim
Okay.
Campbell
Yeah.
is here.
Um,
Next meeting.
okay.
James Campbell. We need
Gotcha.
him here. Equal
So-
opportunity.
That would be everything for us for
Yes,
now.
thank
Okay.
you.
No, thank you.
You are
Thank
free
for
to leave.
inviting us.
And we are too.
I'm not in any rush.
I'm
No,
sorry,
I
everyone.
appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry.
This was just
I'll talk to you about postings.
And if you want, we'll go over the.
Motion to close.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. everyone for your patience.
Oh, who made the motion?
Oh,
Sorry, we were yapping. I know.
Art made the motion.
Thank you.
And then Gino second?
Thank you. You guys are great.
We're trying.